The Two Count, where comedy meets wrestling. Please comment, share, and like, and if you're watching the live stream, join us with your comments and questions. And now here are the hosts of The Two Count, comedian John Russell, and wrestling broadcaster Big Ace.
And happy Tuesday to you all. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you're all well. I am in quarantine. So congratulations to me. I was babysitting grandkids on Wednesday and Thursday. And on Friday, my grandson got ill enough that they took him into the doctor, tested him, and found out on Sunday that he's got the positive indication for coronavirus. So did a FaceTime, and he was very happy to say, "Hey, Grandpa, I have the coronavirus." I'm like, yeah, that's not something to be happy about. But the good news is that he seems to be over it. My son had a bad headache and lost his sense of smell, which is weird. And my other son, who I guess was over there on Saturday, even though he knew they were sick, he's got a headache now as well. So he went and got tested today. I got a test coming in the mail tomorrow, and we'll see how that goes. I have zero symptoms, but having said that, I am on a 14-day staycation from work until December the 4th.
Are you doing one of those spit in the cup ones that are coming on?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and those are, so like, apparently that's what my son did today. You go up, you get in line, you spit in the cup, and then they give you back the information. And I think he said 48 hours. The mail-in one is exactly the same thing, but they don't trust you because they think, well, if you got to take a COVID test and you don't want to be positive, you would probably find somebody else to spit in the cup for you. You know, just like if you were taking a drug test. Hey, I don't want to turn out positive, so let me find somebody else to spit in the cup for me. And so they have to make sure, and you have to do a Zoom call with a technician to make sure that it's the same person, which is weird to me. But I'll report back on how that goes in the next couple of days. But as of right now, my temperature's normal. I have zero symptoms. So yippee. Only thing that means is I don't get to work. So hooray. Other than that, golly jeeper creepers, what the heck? We got all sorts of wrestling to talk about this week. Well, maybe not all sorts, but today we're going to talk about our favorite Survivor Series elimination matches. And to be clear, there are only so many of those to go around. You know, there were not any. There were only two this year. You know, there was a men's and a women's. And in going through them, we also recalled that there was a point where they had a tag team Survivor Series match. In fact, they had two that were quite something. But there's freaking 20 guys involved, and that is pretty something. But we don't have any of those on our list. We each pick three, and I'll tell you right now that we have of those three that we've chosen, they're all the what you would say the classic format, and we have one in common between us. So this will be a fun and interesting list when we get to it. We did have the Survivor Series on Sunday. I don't know if any of you watched it. Ace, I know we talked about it a little bit off air, off stream, off whatever color. But I would say that this one for me fell somewhere in the middle. I mean, there were some good matches, but they weren't the Survivor Series matches themselves were pretty lackluster and kind of weird, to be honest.
I'm sorry, my computer is being weird.
Oh,
Also, I was looking. There's 15 matches that were on Dark tonight. 15 matches.
15?
15.
My God.
I don't even know if I know who all these people are.
Well, go directly to Top Flight because we're going to talk about them too.
Yeah, but I don't think they're on Dark.
I don't. They probably aren't anymore. Top Flight, for those of you who are not aware, are a tag team out of the Twin Cities. They're brothers, and in fact, when you and I went to, and if you're familiar with First Wrestling here in the Twin Cities, you're familiar with these guys. But you may know them as Airwolf and the Lucha Angel. You and I watched them at that 2 summers ago when we went and saw the First Wrestling promotion show at Bauhaus Brewery. As they didn't wrestle under the name of Top Flight then, I don't think, but I don't know. I don't recall, but I recall it was Airwolf and the Lucha Angel versus the Best Friends.
Yeah, I think Airwolf's been to Waterloo too as well. I think
Okay.
it's been down there as well. Yeah, man, they looked really good. And it's awesome. They're from Minnesota. Their logo, that's cool. I just don't get. We were talking about this earlier. That just AEW's just I don't know. They're bringing on all these talents. Supposedly, there's a bunch of talent we don't know about that are still being signed. Like, you have a 2-hour show. I feel there's parts that are lacking. You could do better.
Yeah.
You have a Dark that's playing tonight that's going to be 2.5 hours. And again, 15 matches. I don't know. Just do something with the people you have and quit bringing in constantly new people. I get the AEW tag team division is so stacked, but tell me what important storylines are going on in the tag team division.
There aren't any.
So we don't need no more people.
Right.
Work with what you got. The AEW has been really missing the fact of that you got to have storytelling involved.
Well, and
I get that they have other ways they're trying to do things, but at the end of the day, wrestling still has to tell a story, and if it's just spot matches and no story and no rhyme or reason, even just selling in the ring sometimes. There's some people who are working with the AEW right now that are phenomenal. But there's some people that also are not. And it's like, if you're not going to even have a story line that leads into the match and why you're working with the person you're working with, at least sell the crap out of whatever you guys are doing in the ring from the beginning to the end. And that's not happening all the time either. So I don't know. It's just, we were talking about this before we went live earlier today. It's just been a very frustrating time with these two major companies in wrestling right now.
Yeah.
It's just, it's really hard to, I didn't watch Raw. I didn't watch Raw last night because it was about 7:30 when I realized, Raw's on. Because I was busy and, not busy, but I was watching something else and just lost track of time. And I was like, I should turn Raw on. It's 7:30, and I went on Twitter and saw everybody crapping on it instantly, the first half hour, and I saw what was going on and was just like, no, I guess I will just finish watching all of the new Animaniacs instead, and that's what I did. I didn't even turn Raw. And by the way, the new did you ever watch Animaniacs? That's...
So my favorite part of Animaniacs was when they would do the songs, and my favorite is the state capitals and the states. Those are my absolute favorites.
So, the Hulu came out. I guess they got 2 seasons coming out. They just came out with the new one. It's hilarious. It's just as good as when they first were on. It really is. There was one episode, and they do the other. Obviously, Pinky and the Brain is a big deal.
Yeah,
they're very heavily involved in the show with the Animaniacs, the Warner brothers and sister. But they did one. They do some little sketches, and they did one on an episode. So it's about this alien life, this planet, and they're coming to they're going to destroy Earth, and they need to live because their planet was something like that. And they send one down, and once he's here and locates where all the beans are, he'll hit the button to let them know to attack. And the whole theme song to this little sketch it ends up with Earth, and it's just tons of little spaceships surrounding, waiting, and they're like, and we're waiting. And it shows him land in a sandbox at this house. And he's like a little thing. So when he opens it, like instantly, this little girl grabs him out, and she ends up pretending he's like the pet. And they have like a little girl do the voice for the cartoon of the little girl. So it's really just this little girl who's talking randomly, like, "Oh, I had a Tyrannosaurus Rex dream. I was in the egg," like stupid things like that. But then they're showing this little alien just being stuck and like having like she shoves him in a dress. She shoves him in like there's one part where she's like, "I want to tell you, son, I love you," and then shoves him in the teapot and puts the top on. The whole time he's trying to get back out to his spaceship because they're all waiting to attack Earth. And I don't know why, but while I was watching it last night, I was laughing so hard. It was hilarious. I was like, wow, this is good. Because it's a kid's cartoon still, I think, right?
Yeah.
It's still kind of for kids, but also kind of for the people who watched it when it was first out. And it was hilarious. So that's what I did instead of watching Raw. And it sounds like I did way better things with my time. From the overall side. And actually I read everything to see what happened, looked if there's any cool highlights. And again, it's just a hard time to be fully invested in wrestling right now when the two big companies who should be really shining don't seem that they are.
No. I think and again, we talked about this a little bit. My feeling is this. AEW still has, even though they've been on for a year now, they still have this kind of idea that it's an indie show and they don't need to tell long-term stories, they still, because they've in the talent, some of the talent they've had have been in, 2-3 weeks and then they're out. And that's, in my mind, that's an indie mentality. It's like, hey, we got Wes Briscoe coming to do a show with us. Do we do anything more than that show? No. And it has nothing to do with the talent of the people that they're bringing in. It just has to do with that's what they're used to. That's the way they're used to thinking, I think. And because the things like, and you brought this up about Brandy. First of all, she wasn't supposed to be a wrestler, and they're trying to come up with all these different storylines for her. And I get it, but then it's like they don't fly, and then they just totally drop them. It's just like, this isn't working. Let's get rid of it. And so if anybody is halfway involved or halfway invested in them, then you're like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, I think the other thing too is, I think for so long they were telling storylines that were being used on indie shows on BTE before All Elite happened.
Right.
And now I feel like they have BTE's turned into its own thing. Like they're doing sketches and storylines at BTE that don't really come on TV, but it's like people would be more interested in that, what they're doing on their YouTube show than what they were doing there. Here's the deal. Like WCW, when they did this, when they were competing with WWE, they figured it out. They were shocking people. They were making waves. They did the unthinkable.
Yeah.
And they ran with it.
Yeah.
But as soon as it was stale, as soon as it was just people swapping gimmicks and characters constantly and just other things going on and just weird bookings, eventually they couldn't keep up. And right now what AEW really has going for them is WWE's not stepping up to the plate right now either. Right. But if they did, and they struck, lightning, I don't know where AEW would stand right now. Because that's the other thing. A lot of people are over there because they're just so tired of WWE. And there's a lot of people who are hardcore AEW fans strictly because I just don't like WWE anymore. And that's fine. Whatever. And vice versa. I know there's people like that. But I want to like all of it. And right now, with so much wrestling, there's someone I know who does transcripts, and he does like 30 hours worth of transcribing of wrestling shows a week. And I was like, dude, I can't even get Raw to hold my interest for 3 hours on every Monday anymore.
Yeah.
This stuff used to be like religious to me, man. I used to watch them every Monday. I used to watch every SmackDown. I watched every NXT. I watched, the first year of AEW. I was on it religiously. Like, now it's like, hey man, I got PGA 2K1 for the PlayStation. I'm doing pretty good in my season, so I don't really want to shut that off right now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like, because it just doesn't seem like it's that entertaining right now because it's all over the damn place, both shows, both companies, and that's just it's just been really hard. I know you were talking about Survivor Series to start this, and we saw a lot of it there. It was a decent show, like you said, kind of middle of the road, but there was some really good stuff. There was some stuff that was like, but at the end of the day, that whole pay-per-view, the lead into it, didn't do anything for me.
No.
I miss Survivor Series being what Survivor Series is. What's up, Chris? How's it going, buddy?
Good to see you, man.
I miss it being, the actual Survivor Series and having those traditional matches. I don't know why they feel it has to be brand versus brand. There's no reason for that. They did bragging rights for 2 years, and that was a brand versus brand specific show, and it didn't make it past 2 years.
They have.
So why would and they found a key with it with NXT last year because it was exciting, it was different,
right?
But then they just took that out of the equation this year and just really was like, I don't know. It's because I heard too, like people were like, wow, it seems like they're writing the show on the fly for Raw last night. So I mean, if that's kind of the attitude again that they've gotten into, I mean, the lead ups to these shows haven't been great. Like right now, we got TLC coming up in a few weeks, and what are we going to see? Because what is really taking shape right now on SmackDown and Raw for these shows?
The only thing that I heard about it, and it's ridiculous, is that the team from the Survivor Series match was put into matches and they were going to make a little bit of an elimination thing to find out who the number one contender was. And Braun Strowman was mad and headbutted Pierce and has been now suspended. So it's pretty clear that Strowman's going to be the guy that gets that match, and he's not even going to be part of the elimination shit. So they're just doing stuff to fill time. And it's really sad to me because I don't know. And
you got to be done with Orton now because you just got to be, because now we're getting close to January. If things go as they were planning, Edge should be coming back in January, and obviously there's going to be an end to that feud, which I don't know if it's really needed at this point, but there's been just so much time from him coming back and then being injured that it's like, do we want him to come back and just do another match with Randy Orton right after that? Or like, hey man, you got hurt last time. Let's start changing up. I don't need to do it.
Here's the other thing too that was reported. He was backstage apparently for the Undertaker's deal, but never got called out. Probably because they didn't want to, but he was there.
I heard Angle was there too and never got called out. So we'll get back to Survivor Series in 1 second. Well, no, we can just go back to it now because I mean the point of the matter is it's like, what are you going to do with the whole WWE Championship? You're going to have to do something because you took it off Orton, put it right back on McIntyre, which made no sense. No. And now you're going to have Orton and Bray have their feud. So, which again, I don't know. I don't know. To me, the best thing on Raw right now is The Fiend. So I feel like he should be in the title picture with Alexa Bliss. But
the two best things on Raw, you got The Fiend, and on SmackDown, it's the Samoan family. However that's going to come out with Reigns and the Usos, and I like it, and I kind of feel like it would do, as much as I'm not a fan of Nia Jax, I kind of feel like it would do good if they break those two up over there on Raw and bring her over and have her part of the thing too, because it would elevate her.
Mm-hmm. And I guess my only thing with that whole thing is I really do hope it's leading to something bigger and better, because again, why are we trying to make Jey Uso a single star now of all of a sudden? Like, why? I get it worked with Kofi, but Kofi's somebody that 10 years ago should have been having his shot anyways.
Yeah.
Jey and Jimmy Uso have been a tag team since they came in. I'm not saying they can't be singles guys, but I mean, why are we making them be? I don't know. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, what happened to just having top guys?
Yeah, I think part of the thing with the Usos is, absolutely. There's nothing else going on there. I think the thing with Jey Uso is that the other Russo is still injured and can't wrestle, and they probably want him to do something.
And that's fine, but like, you put him into the title picture? That's your answer?
I don't think he's in the. See, but here's the thing: he's not in the title picture.
He was. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but
you wasted this time with him doing it. Like, my whole thing is the Samoan family just doesn't. Because in all actuality, it's like, yeah, dude, you should be listening to Roman Reigns in the pecking order. He's above all of you.
Yeah.
Has always been. So, like, this doesn't end with Roman Reigns and The Rock at WrestleMania. Then what was all this for? Because it has to end with someone stepping to Roman in the family.
Yeah.
The Usos aren't those guys. So who is it going to be?
Rikishi.
Oh, Jesus Christ. And that right there is why it's so hard to give them all my time.
Dude, that's the thing. It's like they you're right, writing things on the fly and whichever way the wind blows and whichever way they think it should go. I mean, I've heard this week that Vince is done with Big E, and clearly they wanted to. I mean, and we talked about this last week, but trying to put Peyton Royce in another tag team with Lacey Evans. Well, why the hell did they break them up then? You know, I mean, it's just doing shit for the sake of doing shit, and that is not helping. That's not helping any talent. There's no talent right now that is being helped by anything that they're doing. Not
it really doesn't.
One.
I'm glad you brought that up too, because like it really didn't make any sense to break Billie Kay and Peyton Royce up just to have Peyton Royce team up with Lacey Evans when you could have done that with Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott, because no one is invested in those two being a tag team since they weren't for so long,
right?
Until just recently again, where the Iconics have been together since they debuted. Like that, just again, it's moves that it's like this will get shock factor, and then it happens, and it's like, oh shit, where do we go from there though?
Yeah.
Oh damn!
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But anyway,
it's funny because the storytelling isn't great at WWE, and that's the problem.
Yeah,
and then there's like no storytelling in AEW, and that's what's the problem.
Yeah,
like, what the hell, guys? Survivor Series though. Really, the big thing from that whole thing, the tag match with Street Profits New Day. That was a good match.
Yeah.
Main event, good match. McIntyre and Roman Reigns. The big thing, the whole thing for this show though was going to be this farewell Taker. And I don't know. A lot of people were questioning what this was going to be. He was doing the rounds for media going into Survivor Series to push for this. I get that it's 30 years, though. I'm not going to say I don't understand the significance to him debuting 30 years ago at Survivor Series and him coming doing this farewell thing. But in all reality, Survivor Series does not define the gimmick or just the talent of Undertaker or Mark Calloway. And if anything, Mania does, because he's famous for the streak next to just being famous as the Undertaker. It didn't make any sense. If they were going to do what they did with Ric Flair after he had to retire and lost to Shawn Michaels, which is what I think most of the wrestling world thought we were going to see.
Thought that was going to be the deal.
It would have been fine, because then at least he was getting his send-off with his peers.
Yes.
To not end up doing that and just bringing these people out to introduce them so they can stand in the ring and then go to a video package, clear them all out, which, again, if I was Kane, I'd have been like, I'm a mayor, damn it. Why would you treat me like this? I'm a mayor. Make me get dressed up just to stand in this ring for 5 seconds. Get this shit out of here. Like, that's stupid. And, like, it was just... And then he comes out. He does his thing. They did some extra lights and smoke. It was fun. I couldn't deal with the crowd. We talked about this. I couldn't deal with the piped-in crowd noise that was trying to make it sound like he couldn't start his speech yet because everybody was cheering and chanting. We know nobody's there. Just stop. To be honest, if I was in his position, and again, he is his own man, so I mean, maybe this is what he wanted to. I don't know. But if I was him, I'd be like, why are we doing this? Can't we just, like, dude, you're going to probably have fans at either the Rumble, and if not the Rumble, more than likely Mania here in Florida. Then at least there's people there, or people can come here and go to it. It just makes more sense. There was just, I don't know, there was no need. And again, we had him when he lost the streak. I told you this earlier. When he lost the streak in New Orleans, that felt like he could have just retired after that match and fine. It had that goodbye feel. Everybody was chanting, "Thank you, Taker," all that. He then lost in Orlando to Reigns, leaves the hat, gloves, and coat. Makes it feel like that's the end. He then does the graveyard match, drives off into the sunset, hand in the air, does the Last Riot documentary, says it's done. Over. Great. I don't need any more goodbyes to the gimmick.
Yeah.
Unless you're bringing that man, that actual man who was that gimmick and the talent behind that gimmick in, so the wrestling world and his peers can pay their dues to him, show them the respect. I don't need any more of it. I really don't. Like, to me, I feel bad that they're making him come out here and do it, because it's like, and again, what does it mean with no fans there?
It means, so here's the thing. It means nothing. It was absolutely lackluster.
Very much so. The video package wasn't even that great.
He deserved way better than that. You know what I'm saying? He deserved more than that. And to have him go and do media rounds to promote this pay-per-view, when I would assume that 85% of the people that watched it on the network, and they're not making any more money. There's nobody saying, "Oh my God, I should buy this pay-per-view on." There's nobody there can't be anybody that's that stupid that says, I guess I better call my cable company and order this. No, they're going to go and they're going to find the network and they're going to say, shit, if I buy this for 1 month, I get to watch it for $10. You can't tell me that they still think that doing these things like this at a pay-per-view is going to increase any kind of a buy rate that there is, because I don't think there's any such thing as a buy rate anymore. You either watch it on the network or you don't, at least with WWE.
Well, yeah, but that's just it, though. The buy rate doesn't exist anymore because it's subscribers.
Yeah.
It's people who are coming onto your streaming service. So, I mean, the media they got going into this wasn't small fries. I mean, it's ESPN.
I know.
It was Hot Ones. It was a big deal. So, I mean, they were clearly reaching to the non-wrestling fans to be like, hey, all the people who used to watch us years ago and know who Undertaker is still, he's done. Join the network so you can watch it. So that's all it was.
But I know. But now here's the thing. You got to because here's the thing. You know, you get your first month costs you nothing. It's free.
Yeah, but I don't know how that works. I think they do charge you if you cancel it, though. I think if you read the fine print, I think there's a hinge on, like, your first month's free, but you got to commit to keeping it. You can't just like go on and get the first month and then cancel it.
So here's the thing, though. Either way, if I paid $10 because I wanted to see the farewell to the Undertaker, and I'm not a wrestling fan, and I go through that entire pay-per-view show, and I get to the point where here's the Undertaker's big farewell, and it's what that was. I'm going to cancel.
Oh no, it was not worth it
right away. It wasn't. Cancel it.
No, again, it was just a thing that didn't need to happen. It just didn't. They could have just been like, hey, 30 years ago today, he was there and did a little video package. He didn't necessarily need to be there. He could have even been there and just been like 30 years ago. Like what he did for, I think it was the Raw 1000, whatever, one of the last big Raws they did, and he was at when they did the arena as well as the Met Center in New York.
Yeah.
And he came out and just cut a promo. Like, he could have did that. It didn't need to be no farewell. It could have just been like, 30 years ago, I was here, blah, blah, Undertaker always wrestled, whatever, BS. And then you could still, again, save all this, like, we're going to bring all these guests in, and we're going to bring them all out to the ring, and all. You save all that for when there's actual fans there, and it's going to mean something. And again, if this is what he wanted, Undertaker, then whatever, fine, cool, good. But I just don't see that. I really see this being him getting a phone call and Vince being like, hey, we're going to do a 30 farewell. 30 years, I got to do a fair. I don't think he was like, hey, it's 30 years, we should really, I think Taker too. I think Taker too knows, like, at this point, him doing anything as far as a retirement really just doesn't mean anything until it's in front of an audience.
Yeah. Well, and it's when was the last? I mean, the last time he was in the ring it wasn't even the Boneyard match. You know what I'm saying? It's like the last time he had a match was that shit show against Goldberg, right? Or did he do something else?
That's a good question.
But the point is, it's so far removed now, and the COVID has done so much to just stretch time further back. I mean, the Boneyard match seems like it was 4 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, I chalk it up to just another questionable business call by Vince McMahon in a year of just a lot of questionable business calls. So,
which by the way, it's coming out. They're letting more people in the office go.
Well, and a lot of that has to do with what we talked about last week. Or did I tell you that? Did we talk about in the last show that they're going to phase out house shows? I
knew that, but these are people like the vice president of data acquirement or something. You know, it's the important shit that's not necessarily have to do with production. It has to do with the online product.
Yeah, they're clearing a lot of people out that they just don't need anymore.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like that is, you know, the thing though is they've been making money this whole year, and even before they did that round of layoffs with the talent, they were going to post a profitable year. So then when they claim that they had to do it because of COVID and all that, it's just like
they're lying.
It's you know.
But then, here's the thing. That's what you expect. I mean, and don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be, but it's a circus. It's a circus business.
Oh yeah, wrestling was born in the carny scene.
Yeah.
So
it
is what it is. But well, let's get into our list though, because we just had
that.
Survivor Series.
Let's do that. Let me. I'll tell you what, folks. We got another good one for you this week. A nice list of our favorite Survivor Series traditional matches coming up right now. Got to tell you, I didn't notice that the entire sentence didn't get typed on our promo, but that's okay. That's okay. Best Survivor Series matches. Now, here's the thing, folks. If you want to go back and look them up yourself, if you have your own favorites, that's fantastic. The list, that's right, Chris. You know it, brother. If you want to go back and look them up yourself, there are really not that many traditional Survivor Series matches. And so it was hard to pick out the ones that you say, hey, these are my favorites or these are the best. But
it's crazy when you look back at the history of all the Survivor Series. They only got about 4 to 5 years in before you started to see that tide change of the whole thing with Survivor Series matches to, we're going to do other stuff and maybe just have a couple.
Yeah.
Literally, there's been many more Survivor Series events where it's literally been 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 Survivor Series matches and then a bunch of just other stuff.
Yeah.
Where the first 4 or 5, the whole thing.
The whole thing was. That's right. And it was like a, gosh, as I remember, it was it was almost like a round robin type of deal where one team would take on the other team and then the winner would go on and take on it. It was interesting to say the least. But let's start off. No honorable mentions other than the fact that we already kind of talked a little bit about the fact that some of those where they had tag team Survivor Series. My God, there's 20 guys in that ring, and they go through the whole thing. Those were half-hour matches. Those were crazy.
Yeah, it's basically a battle royal.
It is. It's an elimination battle royal, sort of with teams. But anyway, look them up. They're honestly probably you're not going to find 10 that you can remember. You know what I'm saying? Just from memory. But
yeah, to be honest, my list each has a significant reason why.
Yeah.
Other than that, there was really no Survivor Series match that just from bell to bell, it was a great match, and that's why it's on here. All of mine had some sort of significance to it, which is why I was it's one of the top ones.
Yeah, absolutely. So, right. So we're going to start with my number 3, and you're going to have to tell me what your numbers is because I've already forgotten. I don't have them in front of me. My number 3 was the Stone Cold Eric Bischoff teams in 2003. When the idea was that if Bischoff's team won, Stone Cold would have to retire, which actually he did for a while. But it was a cool way to kind of get him off. But it was memorable. I mean, when you look at the guys that are on that team for Bischoff, Big Papa Pump, let's be honest, loose cannon. Love Mark Henry, love Christian, Jericho and Orton, all good. Rob Van Dam. It's hard to remember that Rob Van Dam was even in the WWE.
Really? See, like I knew him more from that because I wasn't a big ECW guy growing up.
I knew him more from ECW and from WCW. But there's Booker T and the Dudleys, and of course Shawn Michaels. And here's the thing about this match: it came down to the point where Shawn Michaels was against 3 at the end, and this is probably I would say this is one of Shawn Michaels' best performances as a wrestler. In the tail of the story here, because obviously Stone Cold and Bischoff never got in the ring. So to see Shawn Michaels fighting for somebody else, it was almost like his redemption in a way. But anyway, that's my number 3, and I enjoyed it. So
yeah, I didn't go anything past the 90s, so all mine are old school. And that's because as later years, you really don't, none of them stood out to me. So
yeah,
I don't know. My number 3 was the Hart family versus Shawn Michaels and his Knights. And that was in 1993. And legitimately the only reason, can you guess why I picked this? The only reason I picked it.
Is because that's what it was going to be originally?
Well, yeah, it was supposed to be Jerry the King and the Knights. But didn't they eventually do one where it was him and his midgets? Or no, that was Doink.
That was with Doink.
Yeah.
So
this set up to the Owen Hart Bret Hart feud.
Yes, but
that was a great feud. So that's why this made my list.
But now let me just give you the history of this, because if you're not aware of it, it initially started with the King giving the Hart family all sorts of crap. And so,
it all started when Bret Hart became king of the ring.
Yes, and so this match was going to come out, the King and his Knights, and then Mr. Lawler had some legal problems, and was pulled from the match. And then, of course, he was replaced, and it's hard to see him. He's back behind the referee, but there's Shawn Michaels took his place. The Knights still were there. But anyway, that's the history, and I don't want to take it away from you because this is your match.
Well, no, and I already said, like, the real reason why that I put this on there is because the most memorable thing about this is where we finally saw Owen Hart. This is where we saw the break starting to happen.
Yeah.
But no, plus the other thing too is this is one of the first times and only times you saw like a lot of the Hart brothers in WWF, because the two didn't wrestle regularly in WWF at that point.
Correct.
Like, I don't even know if they did wrestle in WWF. They might have just straight been Stampede. But no, man.
I don't know if they ever did.
Yeah, I don't think so.
All right. So my number 2 match is the Alliance versus the WWF. And that was in 2001. See, this was interesting to me because I was a WCW guy, and this whole thing where they kind of tried to meld everything together, and yet sort of half keep it separated, which has always been their problem, separation of brands. But this was a great match. Look at this WWF team. I mean, this is all, Kane,
it's packed.
And I mean, good God. And there's no way that they wouldn't win, right? Because you got The Rock, you got the Big Show, you got the Brothers of Destruction, and you got Jericho, which is kind of ironic because it's against the WCW. But then you got Stone Cold and Booker T, Angle and Rob Van Dam. And then, of course, there's Shane McMahon. I got to be honest with you. I've rarely been a fan of the owner, in air quotes, being in matches. It's not for me. But anyway, the cool part about this match was that as the match went on, it was a good match, but then It just like a great story would be. I mean, the story was it came down to The Rock and Austin at the end. And I mean, if there were two guys that signified why WWF won over WCW, those two guys are it. Among other things. But anyway, that's my number 2.
That's funny because your first 2 picks have a lot of the same guys in them.
I know.
So my second pick was Team Giant versus Hogan in 1987. That was just because that was, that was like the first one.
Which is. I'll be honest with you, which is also my number 1.
Yeah, and that's some good looking teams right there. King Kong Bundy, One Man Gang, Rick Rude. Who is that? Who is that with the red headband?
Red headband is Butch Reed.
Yeah, and then
so see, there's some guys on here that is like what the fuck. So you have over on Hogan's team, you got Ken Patera, you got Bam Bam Bigelow, you got Paul Orndorff, and you got Superstar Billy Graham. But guess what? Superstar he wasn't able to wrestle, so they replaced him with Don Morocco, the magnificent Morocco. And Morocco was an old guy, just like Butch Reed. Butch Reed is way old school, and this is 1987. Butch Reed is not somebody that a lot of people know. Well, just like you said, who's that guy? And it's the same thing. Not a lot of, people know who Superstar Billy Graham is, but you wouldn't know him by sight. And you sure wouldn't know him hanging on the end there. He's holding on.
People would know Billy Graham though, just because
yeah, but look at
him. Nobody was doing what he was doing when he was doing.
But look at him. He's holding on to Orndorff like he's going to fall down. It's like,
oh, I know, yeah. Well, that's what happens when you do a bunch of roids your whole career. You know what I mean? Like, things don't work. But yeah, no, it was just, I remember watching this. I remember being like, oh, what is Survivor Series? And it was like on Thanksgiving, and it was just like, I got to watch this. Like, I remember this being like a thing over like football.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And here's the cool part about this one, though, because this was, and I will give WWE credit for this, simply because, hey, Danny, favorite Survivor Series, The Road Warriors. Yeah,
that was a good one. That was a good one.
Fantastic one. Here's the thing. This is the first Survivor Series. This is the first match, and it's a carryover from the Mania where Hogan beat Andre, and they carried that rivalry through the year to the next Mania when Andre actually finally beat Hogan, and got the belt. So anyway, that's I just think that this is cool because it's the first one and nobody knew what the hell it was, and it was again you had teams of 3 just beasts. But anyway, all right, and now we go to your number 1.
Oh yeah, because yours was the same, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was the other one. Yeah. So it was the Dream Team versus $1 Million Team. So Dusty Rhodes with the Hart Foundation and Coco Beware against $1 Million Man and fucking Honky Tonk Man, and then Greg the Hammer Valentine, and obviously the significance to this, and they just celebrated 30 years. This is the debut of Undertaker.
Absolutely.
With Brother Love. I don't think Paul Bear was at this show.
No, he was not. Because he was still Percival Pringle somewhere, I believe.
But yeah, so in all reality, this did set the stage for one of the most celebrated careers of professional wrestling, being the Undertaker. Plus, I just liked it because the whole thing of $1 Million Man, I got a guy, because I remember watching that as a kid.
Oh yeah,
and I remember Taker coming out and being like, "Who's that guy? He's scary. Who the hell is that guy?" I was creeped out. Yeah, I was creeped out. And it's just funny because it's the $1 Million Man. He's just I can buy anything. Yeah, rhythm and blues. Yep.
And here's the thing, too.
Poor Greg Hammer. I felt so bad for Greg the Hammer Valentine. He had to do that stupid rhythm and the blues. I wish he would just pop Honky Tonk Man in the face.
Here's the thing about up until about 1993, or 94, maybe even a little further. Even though you had 2 wrestling promotions, you had the AWA and you had WCCW as well. You had stuff going on. Rhythm and blues. You had these guys, like you had Undertaker was Mean Mark Gallows, but like people didn't know him, you know, like now everybody knows who everybody is because of the internet. But back then it was not prevalent. So you really had to be a super uber fan to know who was signed and who, all that stuff. We know that stuff now. If it happens, we know it immediately. But back then you didn't. You had to wait until something came out in the wrestling magazines or whatever. So it was a huge surprise to see Mean Mark Callis, who we didn't know was Mean Mark. He was Mean Mark Callis in WCW.
Yeah, he was also afraid that he was going to debut as something out of the egg, because this is also the same night that the Gobbledygooker made its debut, which also 30 years later won a title.
I know, isn't that insane?
I guess it was Drew Gulak who was in the Gobbledygooker.
Yeah.
But they're not gonna like acknowledge it like it is. They're selling it as it was Gobbledygooker who won that.
I know, but I just want to also say that was nowhere close to the same Gobbledygooker outfit.
Oh no, are you kidding me?
I'm
pretty sure they got to make one every time they have someone wear it.
I suppose.
They're all different.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh yeah. I remember DDP drive. That was when Warrior squashed Honky Tonk Man, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
For the IC title. It was great. Anytime Honky Tonk Man's getting his ass kicked, I'm down for it. So it's funny because I've got a website up in front of me for wrestling dudes, and like one of the headlines says Jon Moxley used to do narcotics and go read at his local library. The headline is just great. I know what it's from. In case if you have, so Renee Paquette, I don't know how she says it. Renee Young, if you're a WWE person, she released her first podcast. Was it yesterday or today? And Mox was her first guest, obviously. And yeah, I listened to it today. It was entertaining. It was very entertaining. It's going to be a really great show, and I'll say it a million times. Renee Young is just, or Renee Paquette. I got to figure out how she says that. Figure it out for me.
Paquet. I don't know.
Sure.
It's French.
Yeah. But she's just a great host. She really is an entertaining person. It doesn't matter who she's sitting with. You're going to be engaged in whatever it is that's going on because she can get your attention.
She does a yeah.
It was great. So even with just it being her husband, it was just fun listening to them two talk. But yeah, he tells a story about him growing up and how he used to go do a bunch of blow, and then he would go hang out at the library and just like read books and magazines and like hang out. It was interesting. It's a funny podcast. Like it's pretty, which was also funny too because this is what I like about Moxley is they kind of talked about it on her podcast because she's like, people are like he's shy or he doesn't like to talk is kind of what people say about him, and he's just kind of like, I'm not shy, but if I don't have anything to say or whatever, I don't need to be in the conversation. Yeah, like I'm fine just not saying anything. And excuse me, it was just it was funny because you just see you kind of got a vibe for how he is as a real person. Listening to them talk, which has made it more comical when you look back to last Wednesday when just mid promo, in the middle of his promo, he just throws out that they're pregnant, and then just like that's how they announced it to the world. Was just him nonchalantly saying it in his promo, just like, well, I got to do this, I got bills, I got a pregnant wife at home, and I'm going to kick your ass. Like, oh, you just let everybody know. That's awesome. That's so seems like you. But yeah, it's a cool show. Check it out if you haven't. Like, I think it's called Oral Sessions with Renee.
Oh, perfect. It's one of the cool things about her, and her skill comes in. She has a unique ability to make every interview she does seem like it's just a conversation, and you happen to be there. And not a lot of people can do that in a proper way. It's a true skill to be able to do it.
Yeah, for sure, man. She's a master at it, so it's definitely worth checking out. It's going to be fun to see what she ends up doing, especially when her non-compete's done. I'm very interested to see what she's going to do. There's still people who are just diehard, like, well, Moxley's in AEW. She was in WWE. She's going to be in AEW. And it's like, again, for the millionth time, she's going to have some offers that have nothing to do with wrestling and will probably pay her way more.
Yeah.
She's just an overall great entertainer, great host, so that's just where I see that go. But it's a fun podcast. Check it out. Right.
I love that. You know what? Technically, Dark Sage, you are not wrong at all. In fact, this could be a new standard. But you're right. It's there are, like we were talking before we went through this. The fact of the matter is that there are only about, if we're honest, there are about maybe 8 that are really noteworthy Survivor Series matches that I would say that are noteworthy for wrestling. There are some that are like the King with all the doinks, and the King had, what was it, sleazy queasy freezy easy or some shit.
It was total just Looney Tunes.
Yeah, it was and the ones that we mentioned, the huge tag teams where they had 20 guys in the ring. So yeah, I mean, we did this more in honor of the Survivor Series, this list, than the fact that there were really
and that's
reason to doodle.
And that's why my list was all under the 90s, 99 and under. Like, I didn't do anything past 92 or 3, because after that it really wasn't, the Survivor Series thing lost its special feel after that. It's just, it's just not as so. I don't know, because if you watch AEW, Eddie Kingston never was eliminated. Just saying.
And so he says.
But yeah, I don't know. It's funny when you are more excited to see what they're going to do for TLC than Survivor Series, considering that's one of their traditional 4 big pay-per-views. But that's what it's been kind of reduced to, being brand versus brand, and I'm just not a fan of it. Yeah. And if you're going to do brand versus brand, then bring back the NXT part of it, because then at least you got something new. That was the thing. They brought in like a whole new hunger and energy when they were involved with it last year.
Yeah.
Again, the timing was perfect. I mean, it couldn't have been any more perfect, where it's like, we're about to hit Survivor Series. Half of our talent is stuck in Saudi Arabia on a plane. What do we do? Easy. Have NXT take over, and we'll carry that into Survivor Series. Perfect. And it worked. It was great. And to be honest, I'm more excited to see War Games in a few weeks.
Yeah, that'll be, well, it's because we haven't seen it in such a long time.
Last year?
Well,
you mean, last year's was awesome. Kevin Owens came out as a surprise guest.
Yeah.
That finish with Ciampa and Adam Cole off the top, I will challenge you, sir, that finish was better.
See,
what do you think I'm talking about?
Dude, it seems to me, I don't know. This is my problem with all this. Time-wise, it seems like that was forever ago.
Oh, it was last November.
I know, dude, we talked about it. I'm sure we did.
Yeah, I was actually, that was the night that I got to run into our now friend downtown Petey Brown, because I was actually at an indie show in Rochester, and it was I can't remember the independent promotion, the one that he runs, that we were going to go to in Wisconsin. It was that promotion, and someone who was sitting in front of me was watching Survivor Series, or was watching NXT War Games on the app on the phone in front of me in the little VFW, and that's how I saw it, because I happened to look up and I seen that the last thing went out and Kevin Owens came out.
Yeah,
and I was like, and then I went home and watched it. Like, NXT's been killing the War Game matches.
Well, NXT does a better job than WWE generally.
Unfortunately, that's very true. Very true. And I don't know what the men's one's going to be yet, but maybe they've announced it. I just haven't heard. But I know the women's match, it sounds like it's going to be Team Shotzi Blackheart versus Team Candice LeRae. I'm all about that.
That'll be fun. Yeah, as I recall, because last year one of the women ended up jumping off of the house or something, didn't she?
That was in your house.
I don't remember what any of this shit is, dude.
You got the network. You need to catch up on last year's pay-per-views. That was the NXT in your house. Women's, the big thing that happened.
I watched it. I don't have to catch up. I watched it.
The big thing that happened last year for the women's War Games Takeover match, and I marked out huge, was when Dakota Kai was on Team Rhea Ripley, and when it was her time to come out, she left her cage, walked like to the entrance of that ramp, and then turned around and totally attacked what's her name, her friend.
Oh yeah.
What's her name? Why can't I not remember her name right now?
I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of it.
In bad legs, she keeps hurting her legs. Constantly.
Yep.
If anybody's watching, you guys can remember who Dakota Kai turned on her friend. Let me know, because it's going to bother me that that's not coming to the top of my head right now. But that was the official heel turn for Dakota Kai, and it was lovely. It was lovely.
Yep.
Tegan Knox.
That's right. There you
Knox.
Go. There you go.
That was great.
I was thinking, for some reason, I was thinking Channing.
Channing Tatum? No, man, it was good. So I'm excited to see War Games. I'm excited to see what Dynamite has this week. I think something else that hasn't been getting talked about a lot right now. Well, obviously, I'm dumb. I think the other War Games match is now going to be Undisputed Era versus Pat McAfee.
That'll be awesome.
Orny and Lorcan, and then Pete Dunne.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
So, yeah, man, dude, how badass are you if you're Pat McAfee that you've done one actual WWE match against Adam Cole, and it was amazing considering that you've only had one other professional match in your career. You're not going to have your second WWE match in War Games with Undisputed, who has been in the last 3 and have always performed top notch in the War Game matches. So,
and you have a Super Bowl ring.
And you have a Super. Does he though? I thought they lost.
I think he
I thought they lost to the Saints when he was on the team when they went.
Oh fuck, I don't know. No,
I could be wrong on that one. I could be wrong on that one too.
Doesn't make any difference.
But I mean, dude, and then you got Pete Dunne.
Yeah.
Orny and Logan. I mean, I feel like though this is going to be the end of Undisputed.
There's been talk that they're going to break them up for quite a while.
I mean, years ago, I thought the whole point was going to be that Roderick Strong was going to be the one that infiltrated and eventually turned them on each other, and that just never happened. Just more and more he became just a bigger part of them.
Well, he was just such a great part of it.
Yeah, he really was. So yeah, that's going to be a fun one. That's going to be a very fun show. I'm excited for that. But yeah, so next week, what should we do for a list?
I don't know. Pardon me. Let's see. Have we done matches the last few? Well, we did. Our favorite pay-per-view was 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I don't recall. It'd be easy enough to. Oh, before that was it worst gimmicks?
Yeah, it might have been. I know we did a finisher in there as well.
Yeah, we did. Oh yeah, last week was finishers. Then before that was it the best tag teams ever?
That was in there. I don't remember the exact order, but those are all ones we've done.
All right. So let's do this. Let's do best female Japanese wrestlers.
Oh God.
No, I'm just it's we're getting to the point where we have to come up with something that's interesting, but not just like old hat. We did factions, so we've done a pretty reasonable list. How about this? How about if we take the current champions from AEW, WWE, both brands, NXT, NWA, Impact, and I don't even know who the fuck the champion is for ROH now. But how about if we take those guys and rank them? I mean, it's a little different. We all know who the guys are going to be. It's probably going to be just different orders. Or is that too silly?
I'm just trying to think how many people I would actually, because like I said, I have a hard enough time watching the WWE.
Well, you don't have to
stuff
watch
constantly.
anything. But you don't have to watch anything.
No, I know, but like you said, you don't know who's ROH champ or Impact champ, and I'm not sure I would know. I would have to look.
So if we had to look it up, then let's just not even look it up. But let's take AEW, NWA.
So just top 3 champions of the current wrestling landscape
of the five that we typically talk about: NWA, AEW, NXT, and the Raw and SmackDown. Let's just rank those 5, and then we can discuss why we have people where they are.
Okay.
I mean, it's different. It's different than what we normally do. But I think it's interesting because I think it'll bring out a good discussion. Wrestling Mount Rushmore would be a.
I feel like we did that, didn't we? No,
I don't know if we did, but I mean,
I thought we did that really early on.
We may have. Dan, what would yours 4 be, Dan? I would say for me, I would say Hogan, Flair, Dusty, and Piper. That'd be my 4.
Yeah, probably Hogan, Flair, Taker.
Oh yeah, Taker. See, it's
and then I don't know. Does Bruno Sammartino make it? He was an icon back then. Or no, you know what? Andre the Giant.
Yeah. See, it's not as easy as it seems, is it?
No, but what you want to do for next week though is just out of AEW and WWE our top 3 current champions.
Yeah, and
anyone who's a title holder. Anyone who's a title holder.
Yeah, and throw the.
See, and that's where it gets hard too, because then Rock, Austin.
Yeah, god dang it.
Yeah, so for me it'd be Flair, Hogan, probably Taker, Rock. I don't know. Austin needs. I'm gonna have 5 guys. Austin's on there too. Screw it.
It's so hard. It's so hard.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll do our top 3 current title holders out of the major brands.
Yeah.
Done.
I think that's going to be. I think it'll be interesting. I think it'll bring, because I'm sure that you and I have different opinions on who should be ranked where, for what reason, and I think it'll be a little bit different twist than what we normally do on our little list.
Sounds good.
And it's a little picture of time, a little snapshot during this COVID, whatever you want to call it, time. Prime time COVID.
Sounds good to me.
All right. The other thing I put on our thing is I had Aleister Black on our thumbnail for the show.
Oh yeah. Why?
Well, so that's it. It's like, what happened? It's like he was going gangbusters with the thing with
well, we know what happened though.
Yeah,
I mean,
we know
what happened.
We know.
Everybody knows.
Yeah. But I just felt bad.
Yeah,
Shawn Michaels going to be on there. My Mount Rushmore's got to have like 8 guys.
I know.
It's just so hard. So hard. Oh my God. Anyway, yeah. I feel bad for him. I feel bad for Big E, because apparently Big E's. I don't know what the hell are they going to do with him now. They pulled him off.
They'll just put him back with a New Day. Eventually, they'll find a way.
Yeah.
He's Jericho. Big E is too valuable. I mean, they just couldn't. Because here's the deal: if they're going to keep doing New Day with Xavier and Kofi, then they're going to just, if he's not going to go over on his own, they're going to just put him back with him.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with Lars Sullivan. I know people are wondering why he wasn't on Survivor Series. Hopefully, it's just because they got rid of him. Because I don't like him. But,
I don't like him either.
That's just my take. And then, I mean, it's just a sad deal with Aleister Black, and unfortunately, he's going to probably just have to bide his time. And once his contract's up, he can get out of there. But I mean, what could you say? WWE is notorious for, hey man, if some, everybody knows what happened to Triple H because of the curtain call. So I mean, That's not going to change now.
Yeah.
We're seeing it with Lana. We're going to see it with him now.
Yeah. Also, people are wondering about Brody Lee. I heard that he got hurt. That's why he hasn't been around anywhere. I think it was a knee. So
I heard the same thing. I heard he got hurt, and that's just one of those bad timings because I don't know how he's going to come back into the Dark Order. They've kind of just taken on a whole thing on their own without him now as the Dark Order.
Yeah,
and I like it.
I'll tell you what, it's a nice the Dark Order has become this nice kind of ensemble like a sitcom.
Yeah,
and the breakout star is that frickin' John Silver.
Yeah, John Silver's hilarious.
But yet Evil Uno and Stu Grayson still have their place.
I love that Anna Jay just beats the shit out of Stu Grayson whenever he's around her.
It's hilarious.
It's hilarious. Like that whole like I said, that whole thing is working. I'm just worried about what's going to happen when they bring in Brody Lee back. Riddle,
a lot of people don't like him.
I'm not
a fan.
I'm not a huge fan either. I respect him. He came out of the Monster Factory. I know Danny Cage up there, who's a head guy, a trainer up there, and he does an amazing job. Actually, him and Damian Priest both are out of the Monster Factory. And they do an amazing job up there. So make sure if you're on the East Coast, you're checking those guys out, the Monster Factory. So it makes me feel bad that I say this, but I'm just not a Matt Riddle guy. I'm interested to see what his future holds, though, because he's obviously not been one that knows. I don't think he quite understands the concept of the respect that comes into that business when you come in. And he's obviously shot his mouth off at a few people that maybe he shouldn't have. I'm still all for him and Goldberg, and I would like to see them actually shoot fight. But, I mean...
Well, Goldberg would get his ass kicked.
Yeah, probably. That's kind of why I want to see it happen.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, we heard about all the stuff with Seth Rollins and how, Seth Rollins didn't even acknowledge him when they were in Survivor Series together, and he refuses to work with him, period, no matter what, because of his wife, Matt Riddle's wife, saying stuff about Becky Lynch on Twitter. All the stuff with the girl who claims that he was sexually assaulting her, and he claims she's a stalker, and I mean, I think that court, she sued him and WWE. Now they're suing her. I think it's at the federal court now. Like, there's just so much around him that it doesn't work.
Yeah,
it doesn't. Like, then I see him out there, and I'm just kind of like, no. So I don't know, man. I like AJ Styles and his bodyguard. I'm all for that.
Yeah, I like that.
Give me more of that. I don't need Riddle though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So okay, we'll do top 3 current title holders from the major brands.
We can just rank all 5 of them. That isn't going to take any longer. And then, I mean,
well, wait, what titles though? Like, because you got tag titles, you got top champs, you got what are you doing?
We're taking the top guys. We're not taking women. We're taking the main brand champions for SmackDown, which would be Reigns. Raw, which would be McIntyre. NXT, which would be who the hell has that belt now? Is it Balor? I don't know. I'd have to go look. But AEW is Moxley and NWA is Nick Aldis. We'll just rank the 5 of them. Those are your choices, and 1 to 5, and then we'll just say why they belong where they are.
All right, yeah.
Because otherwise, if we go through, it's like, well, then we have to like, okay, are we going to do women? Are we going to do IC?
I can already tell you if we were going to do what I was saying. Most of my list was going to be the women title.
Yeah, thanks,
holders.
Chris. Yeah, well, because
just because I don't like half of the guys who are on top right now.
The women are doing a good job, but this is why we have to do it, because out of those 5, there are some guys that you like, right? I mean,
two.
I can look at those 5.
3.
And I can say I genuinely understand why they have a title, and I can genuinely say that all 5 of those men are doing a good job. I don't. There are. Do I like some more than others? Yes. Do I say there's no way that fuck should have a title? No, I don't say that for any of them. So,
so that's where we're different, because I don't think Reigns should have it. I think Aldis's time is done. And to be honest, I'm kind of ready for Moxley to drop.
Yeah.
That's just me. But that's because there's been no rhyme and reason to half of the stuff those guys are doing. All this is just hard because I never watched NWA. They've been not doing anything until just recently.
But here's the thing.
He's also held that thing for like 2 years.
Yeah, more than 2. That's why this is going to be an interesting conversation.
All right, yeah, we'll do that then next week. No Briscoe Big A show this week because it's Thanksgiving. We did one last week, so make sure you check it out. And then we'll be back next week. I think him and I with another show, probably Thursday next week. So
sounds great. I'll be doing a show on Thursday with my friend and comedian who didn't show up tonight because he had something else he had to do. Corey Adam, advertised but not present. Remember, the card is subject to change. But I will be doing a Thanksgiving show with Corey Adam on Thursday. We'll probably start around 10 and we might go, I don't know how long. We'll go at least 3 hours, maybe 9. And hope you have a good
you too, Chris.
But if you want to join Corey and I, we'll be over on Corey's Twitch channel, Corey Adam. Comedian Corey Adam, I think it is, but you can track him down. It's also known as Twitch Talk, like Twitch and Talk, Twitch. Anyway, you get the point. But that'll be fun if you got nothing to do. If you're looking for a break from football, we'll be there. I think we're probably going to have a socially distanced Thanksgiving dinner, and then probably just screw around. We might play some Among Us. We might do some other stuff. Because we'll do it on his channel. He's got Twitch down to a science. But anyway, we'll do that. And otherwise, we'll see you all next Tuesday. And hope everything goes well for you. Stay safe, everybody, and have a great Thanksgiving. We appreciate you watching. Subscribe, like, all that BS, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.